Photoshop is a great application, but one thing has always kind of weirded me out, and that's just making a square, circle, or a basic shape. It's kind of they make it kind of complex, but here we go. I think it's important. I use rectangles and ovals a lot for backgrounds for images, and I think this title is important for people that are new to Photoshop. So here we go. Let's go right in here. I've got an image in here. It's an image of an image from my Samsung Galaxy 3. And the beauty of the size of these images and web development these days is that, I mean, you get into a web page, and like this is 4,000 pixels wide, but a wide image might be 800 pixels. So this image here gives me all kinds of images to work with. So to start out, all I want to do is I just want to put a little caption below these two birds right here. So I might just go in and crop my image as such. And so then I'll leave a little room at the bottom for some type of caption, or maybe I'll put the caption at the top. There you go. Hit enter on the keyboard. I'll double click the hand tool to take me to full screen within that section of the image. And here we go. Let's get out the handy dandy layers panel. Layers panel is kind of tall. I'll shrink it up a little bit, and I'm just going to make a new layer. Now I want to put some text, maybe this person saying something, or maybe just put a title up here. Now traditionally what I would do after making a new layer, I would just put in the rectangle tool, and here's where the weirdness begins. Bring in my swatch box and maybe choose some color to put in here. The dominant color in here is this orangey red color, so I might get the color picker over here, click this color shows up here, and then I could use my paint bucket tool, and notice I'm in layer 1. This name the layer, this be right, I'll call it SQBG for SQ background. That's fine. Click in there, and there you go. That's how you would make a rectangle. You could do the same thing with any selection. You just select the area, put it in its own layer, and then use the paint bucket to fill that area with color, which is it's all fine and good. I do that all the time. So now, I have my new layer. So I'm going to make another layer, and I'm going to go into text in depth in a couple of titles down the road. But now I can put I create a new layer, click the text button. I'm not going to cover this right now. Hi there, chica. Okay, there you go. So now I've got a background. There you go. And now the fun thing about this is these little, they're called layer effects. If I select my background layer, I can go to layer effects, drop in a nice drop down, a nice drop shadow like that. I love doing that. And then I can select my text layer, apply a little drop shadow like that. And boy, we are in business now. There you go. Or I can go into this layer, the background layer, and reduce the opacity. I really dig that. So it kind of fades in. Ooh, groovy, baby. Ooh. And then if I want to move my little rectangle and my text, you can select multiple layers for control. We covered that in another title. If I shift click so I have both of these layers selected and the move tool is selected, then I can move them in unison, maybe put them somewhere else. Now, let's have a response here. The other way that I would use a shape for a background, I'm going to put in another new layer, and that would be using these thingies down here. These are all, now they call these vector shapes. I'm not even going to go into it. I mean, I'm a pro at Adobe Illustrator, and that's all about vectors. How do you get vectors in the land of pixels? I'm not touching it, but these are quote-unquote vectors. You control like vectors, but anyway, once you make them a JPEG, they're pixels, whatever. So let's say I want to make an oval. And no, this I'm going to go for the rounded rectangle tool because I use it all the time. So I'm going to make a rounded rectangle, and this choose some color, and you just make your rounded rectangle. And notice it shows up in the layer, and that's kind of easier. The only thing, and notice all of these shapes you have, rounded rectangle, circle, all that kind of stuff. And then you have these special shapes. I mean, you can go into here, special shapes, and the options will show up here. You know, and so like you can click the arrow, the heart, it's got all this stuff up here. You can make your own. I'm not going in there. Fine, well, good. Those are nice options, but I used a rounded rectangle. Now, and then once you make your rounded rectangle, you can select it. You can go edit free transform, change the width and height just like you would any object. What I find a little strange, and this is really worth noting, is if you want to change the color of this thing, what you have to do is you have to go to the layer panel and double click this icon right here. That's kind of weird. Then you have to do your thing over here with the color rainbow and choose your shape. Okay, that's how you change the color of any shape, one of these weirdo vector shapes. Okay, but it works well. And the beauty of this is I really like, just like I did before, you can choose your layer and reduce or increase the opacity. And yes, sure, once the layer is selected, you can come down here and put in your drop shadow. Ooh, yes, we love it. We love it. So, okay, I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to make one more shape just so you can see. There's a rectangle. I could have made a circle, a square, whatever. But if you make any shape, I'm just going to do this with the lasso tool. Make some kind of different kind of shape like that. There's my selection. Choose some color. I go to the paint bucket. It's in this layer right here. Paint bucket, I drop the color in. So you can draw anything with the lasso tool. Drop in your color. And here's something else kind of cool. Let's get the magic wand tool. I use this option a lot. I'm going to choose some color here. And let's say I wanted a little outline around this selection right here. I've chosen a color. Let's choose this color down here. And then I can go edit stroke. Edit stroke. And notice you have to have a selection ready for this. My selection is there. You can see my marching ants. Edit stroke. And it's going to say, do you want to use this color, which is currently set to foreground color? I'm going to increase the pixel width to 10 pixels because this is a large image. And you can decide, do you want it to go inside, right on the selection, or outside? I'm going to choose outside the selection. I click OK. There you go. I use this option a lot. Gives you a nice little border around the selected area. The other option is you could go edit fill. I use this option a lot. Now, right now, I already have a fill in there, so I don't know, maybe I'd be changing the fill or whatever, but just for the heck of it, I'm going to change the fill color, go edit fill, drop, and it'll say, do you want to use foreground color or do you want to use background color, whatever? Well, yeah, I want to use foreground color, which is this gray down here. I click OK. There you go. So That's how you can apply shapes to your images and using your opacity settings in the layer, your drop down shadows, get some stroke going, fill the stroke, surround the stroke, edit fill, edit stroke. There you go. I use all of these options in my Photoshop for the web development practices.